Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, which is part of ISWA's Road to COP series titled From Local Action to Global Impact, Tackling Ocean Plastic Pollution. My name is Aditi Ramola, and I work at the International Solid Waste Association, or ISWA in short. We are based out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and ISWA is a global independent non-profit association with a mission to promote sustainable and professional waste management globally. And we also advocate a transition to a circular economy. We have members from a very diverse set of people, including individuals, organizations, and several institutes and so on from over 100 countries. And we are open for anybody to join us. Anybody who's interested in the field of waste and resource management is very welcome. You can find out a lot more about us at our website, which is www.iswa.org. So very quickly about today's webinar, we have an exciting lineup of speakers from our very interesting partners. We have Nadira Putri from the Ocean Cleanup. We have Uda Korneliussen from CLOCC Norge. We have Andik from the Indonesian Solid Waste Association. And we are going to be basically talking to you about what ISWA and our partners have been up to. And so I'm honored to be moderating this session. And what we believe is that waste is not just a byproduct of human activity, but it is a resource. And if it's managed correctly, we can drive economic growth, we can reduce environmental harm, and support also a more sustainable and a more circular economy. And as I said, this webinar is part of our Road to COP series, which will continue all the way till COP30 in November. And we're going to be exploring through this series the critical intersections and linkages between waste management and climate action. So in today's session, we are focusing on the deeply interconnected challenges of plastic pollution, marine debris, and also mismanaged organic waste. So these are issues that not only threaten ocean health and biodiversity, but they also affect human health and they contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. And effective ocean protection begins on land. And so in this webinar, you're going to hear practical examples from, as I mentioned, the Ocean Cleanup, the Clean Oceans to Clean Communities project, who are actually tackling these issues head on the ground through community-led initiatives, community-driven solutions, sustainable waste systems, and so on. And so we're going to together explore how addressing waste at its source and closest to its source can deliver both climate action and environmental benefits as well, while also improving lives and livelihoods across communities. So this is what we do through our projects. And as I mentioned, we have a very, very excellent lineup of speakers, and they're going to be sharing presentations of their work. That's going to be followed by an engaging question and answer session. And so here, I'm urging you all to participate actively by typing your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box, whichever you prefer. And my colleague and I will collect this so that we can have, a more diverse and interactive session, Q&A session at the end as well. In case you don't get to ask questions today, or if we run out of time, you can also reach out to us afterwards. So do take the opportunity to reach out, chatting here, but also after the presentations. And so with that, I'm going to welcome our first speaker of the session, Nadira Putri. She is the waste manager at the Ocean Cleanup, and with over 8 years of experience in solid waste management across South Asia. She specializes in technical, policy, and operational aspects of the waste systems. At the Ocean Cleanup, she works very closely with local stakeholders to advance responsible river waste management and circular economy solutions. Nadira, you might want to share your slides. I'll stop sharing mine, and the floor is yours, please.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you, Aditi, for your kind introduction. I'm very happy and honored to be here today to represent the Ocean Cleanup. So yeah, my name is Nadira, and I'm a waste manager at the Ocean Cleanup. So to give you a bit of background about the Ocean Cleanup itself, so we are an NGO based in the Netherlands with the mission to rid the oceans of plastic. So in order to achieve that mission, we have two approach. The first one is, as you might also already know, that the floating plastics in the oceans are concentrated in 5 gyres across the oceans. And then the first one is, as you can see in the picture, we clean the legacy plastics from the ocean's garbage patches. So this is the system that we deployed. It's in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So that's our first approach. And the second approach is that we want to stop plastic floating from rivers to oceans by deploying a river interception system. So the blue thing that you see on the river, that's our interceptor. So we call it interceptor, in which we deployed in the world's most polluted rivers. So that's our two approach. As I will focus more today on the river projects at the ocean cleanup. So this is our current deployments across the world. As you can see, we have one in LA, we have 10 in Jamaica, we have two systems in Guatemala, we have one in Dominican Republic, and in Southeast Asia, we have deployed two in Malaysia, two in Indonesia, one in Thailand, and one in Vietnam. So as you can see, the solutions for this river interceptions are different because no rivers are also the same. So yeah, if you want to know more about our river deployments, you can check our websites and then you can see the maps as well. Okay. So moving to the waste management part of our projects. So yeah, people might ask, so after you extract the waste from the rivers, what do you do with the waste? So this is basically the framework that we follow. It's called Responsible Waste Management Framework, which follows the principle, you might also already familiar with the waste hierarchy, which is we want to maximize value as much as possible by prioritizing recycle and minimize the amount of waste that go into disposal. So that's our principle, which follow waste hierarchy. And how do we do that is through three enablers. So the first one, we always try to prioritize local waste management system whenever we are in the project. And the second one is to do proactive planning. So this means that we are proactively looking for opportunities or also identifying risk and planning risk mitigations on the waste management part. And the last one is whenever we want to introduce new solutions, we always do feasibility studies. So that's the third one. And for criteria, whenever we want to select waste management solutions, we always see it from 5 different perspectives, which is environmental, social, financial, legal, and technical. So this is basically our way of working. And this is the theory, of course, but when facing the real issues, when going to the field, these are our two key challenges. So the first one is the river waste characteristics. So we are operating in different rivers, and it turns out also that the characteristics and the compositions of this of waste in these rivers are different. But the main challenges are, of course, the waste from the rivers is wet. The second one is it's very fluctuative and depends on the seasonalities. So sometimes we will have tsunamis of waste, but then no waste in other seasons. And also, as you can see in the picture, the waste is highly entangled. So there's like organics mixed with other things. There are also fridge, sovas, teddy bears, and so on. So everything you can find in the rivers, basically. So that's our first challenge. And the second challenge is that why there is a waste in the rivers, because most of the times there is no adequate waste management on land. But then we are operating in this kind of countries, right? So then it's really challenging to find an available waste management solutions in these challenging countries. So our role in the ocean cleanup, especially as waste manager, we're trying to bridge the gap. So identifying new solutions, maybe bringing in global networks and local networks as well. So these are our two key challenges in our river projects. And to make things more concrete, I'd like to show you one of my projects, which is located in the Cisadane River in Indonesia. So, yeah. So this is Interceptor 020 that we've deployed last year in Cisadane River. It's one of the most polluted rivers in Indonesia. And then we're not working alone. We're working in collaborations with local stakeholders, and it's estimated that this interceptor can extract up to 800 tons of year of waste. So yeah, this is about Interceptor 020. And so that's the technology that we deployed. So we deployed Barrier, Interceptor Original, which is our boat-like system, and then extraction by excavators. But what do we do with the waste afterwards? So we work together with a local foundation called BPA Foundations. We are also working with a local communities, with a waste bank, with a local waste bank, and also governmental agencies. First, to manage the river waste that we extract. So we want to divert as much as waste that is going to landfill and repurposing the valuable materials. So the first one is to take the river waste and manage it. The second one is to provide waste collection service to the village surrounding the rivers, because there used to be they didn't have the waste collection service before. So then these local communities want to activate this to prevent more waste going to the river. The last one is the educational program. So our local partners wants to enhance community awareness and knowledge on responsible waste management. So these are basically the waste management key focus that we do there with the local partners. And the impacts we have achieved so far. So from last year, from September last year to now, we have extracted up to 600 tons of waste before going to Jakarta Bay and to the oceans, and preserving 28 hectares mangrove downstream. That's the first impact. The second impact is up to 73 tons of waste has been sorted and diverted from landfills. So for recyclables, it's being sent to recyclers. For bamboo, so as you can see in the picture, there are a lot of bamboo on the background. It's basically 80% of our catch is organics. We are currently in discussion with a local steam power plant to repurpose the organics to become like alternative fuel to coal. So this is the impacts that we achieved so far in terms of the waste. And then we've also provided more than 16 new job opportunities, mostly local, and then providing 800% increase of stable income. And then now all of the workers are aware of safety and operational procedure. We are also working with a lot of third parties and provide indirect employment. The local communities also facilitated educational visits for people who'd like to understand more about waste and interceptors. So these are the impacts that we have achieved so far in the project. And these are also a glimpse of our other projects. Like, for example, in Jamaica, we are also working with local partners. So on top of doing river interceptions, the local partner is also doing manual and legacy cleanups, providing educational activities at schools and tour visits to the site. And in Guatemala, we also did some sorting trial that has successfully sorted 885 tons of waste, and 56 tons of waste from the rivers are diverted from disposal. There, 36 new job opportunities were created, and then we are until now still contributing to the knowledge on additional waste solution and off-takers for the river waste there. And my last slide is our latest collaboration. So this is a proof of concept in which we collaborated together with Coldplay to create their limited editions LPs. This is made from the PET bottles that we extracted from Guatemala, made from 70% of the rPET there. So this is just a proof of concept about what we can do with the river waste and make a meaningful product out of it. Yeah, that's it. That's my presentation. Looking forward for your questions and the discussion session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nadia, for this exciting presentation and letting us know about all the work you're doing globally. Next, we are going to have Ms. Uda Korneliussen. She is the program manager for Clean Oceans to Clean Communities program at CLOCC Norge. She's based in Oslo and she leads the program's global efforts. She brings a lot of experience from to the project from several private companies and organizations, and she holds a master's in international relations from the Norwegian University of Life Sciences. Uda, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you see my presentation now? Okay. Thank you, Aditi, for the introduction. So, as Aditi said, I'm the program manager for the Clean Oceans to Clean Communities CLOCC program. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about developing integrated sustainable waste management system in semi-rural areas using participatory planning. So I will give the overview of this project, and then my colleagues Andik and Aditi will talk about the details and how it's implemented in the different countries. So firstly, I'm going to talk a little bit about the challenge of plastic pollution, which is, as you all know, very urgent. So each year, 8 to 13 million metric tons of plastic ends up in the ocean, and 2.7 billion people don't have access to properly regulated solid waste collection. More than 800 species in our marine environment are a threat due to waste leakage into our oceans, and up to 1 million people die every year because of diseases related to mismanaged waste, and 15% of greenhouse gas emissions stem from poor waste management. So this is a very urgent challenge, and our contribution to solving this is to reduce marine plastic pollution and microplastic through creating holistic and sustainable waste management systems in communities and countries where there is a lot of waste leaking from the waste management systems and into the environment, and then also into the ocean. So our core focus is to develop sustainable waste management systems that focuses on all the fractions of waste. Although our key goal is the plastics, we need to manage all the fractions in order to reduce marine plastic pollution. And our vision is a world where waste is minimized, properly collected, recycled, and appropriately treated. So our approach is rooted in local capacity building. We use the integrated sustainable waste management approach, which is a very holistic approach to waste management. We look at waste management from all angles, both the physical aspects, such as the infrastructure, the recycling, the collection and so on, and the governance aspects, which is everything from the institutions and the policies and the financial sustainability and the inclusivity and the users and the providers. So we look at waste management from all the angles, and all of them needs to work together in order to create a holistic waste management system. So our approach is also, it's divided into 3 phases, which happens at the same time and in parallel. So the first is capacity building and training, where we build capacity and train local stakeholders, often in the government, in the district or regency or local community level, in aspects related to waste management and regulations, the planning process, the financing, and so on. And then the second work package, which is very important to our program, is the waste management planning, where we work together with the local stakeholders to create a comprehensive waste management plan for the district level. And this includes everything from the collection, how many fractions, the source separations, how are the different fractions treated, the infrastructure, and how should it be financed, and so on. And it's also it's a living document, and it's also very long term. And then the third phase is implementing the waste management systems in the local communities, where this includes translating the waste management plan for the district into the local aspects and action plans. And this includes improving source separation and collection in a community, supporting the MRF operations with capacity building and so on, finding circular treatment options for organic waste such as composting and also black soldier fly, and building partnerships to boost recycling and support development of regulations and also financing options. And what's very core to our approach is that we need to work very closely with local stakeholders, and we co-create waste management solutions designed in and suited to the local context. So in our projects, the stakeholders themselves decides on the waste management system and how they want the goals of the waste management systems and the different treatment and so on. And it needs to be very suited to the local context. And we don't want to export any waste management system, but we build the local stakeholders' capacity to creating their own waste management systems. And we think that this is needed in order to create a sustainable system that can last for years ahead and will not, for example, collapse when the project is ended. We want to create very long-term sustainable systems. And the CLOCC project is powered by collaboration. We are mostly funded by NORAD, the Norwegian Development Agency, and we're part of the Norwegian Development Program to reduce marine plastic pollution and microplastics. We also have funding from Global Methane Hub and the Grieg Foundation. And the overall partner is CLOCC Norge, where I work, which is the Norwegian Recycling and Circular Economy Organization. We work with more than 200 members in Norway from the recycling and circular economy sector, both the private and the public. And then our global partner is ISWA. And then we have a lot of local partners, which are very, very important to the project, to implement the projects on the ground. So in Indonesia, we have INSWA, Indonesia Solid Waste Association, which you will hear more from soon. And then we have Go Circular and Rigid Pradana Vetan. And then in India, we have Ambayer, Hand in Hand Sweden, Hand in Hand India, and ICWM. And here is a little bit of the overview of our projects. I'm not going to go into details here because my colleagues will soon, but we work in Indonesia and India. In Indonesia, we have projects in the regencies of Banyuwangi, in East Java, Tabanan in Bali, and Tegal is Central Java. And in India, we have in Chengalpattu, which is a district in the Tamil Nadu state. So we work in 2 countries and 4 districts and regencies, and now 27 towns or communities. And the scale of the program it's in areas where around 7 million people live, and our impact is the capacity of the waste management systems that is created by CLOCC can create and sustain 6,800 jobs, benefiting 7 million people. They can ensure zero leakage into the oceans, collect 100% of waste, and create scalable methods. And our plans, for now, we're only working in India and Indonesia, but we're hoping to scale to other countries as well and other parts of the world, because our methodology is very set, but it's also very flexible, so it will be very adjusted to the local conditions. And also, we always work with local partners. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Uda, for that introductory presentation, very well contextualized and set. I would now please welcome to present Satya Oktamalandi, also known as Andik. He's the project manager at the Indonesia Solid Waste Association, which is ISWA's national member in Indonesia. As a key partner in the CLOCC program, Andik is leading the implementation of training, workshops, site visits, data collection, and so on across Indonesia. He brings deep expertise in developing sustainable waste management systems using the ISWM approach and the CLOCC approach, and supports CLOCC's vision and mission to reduce plastic leakage through community-driven actions and participatory planning. So thank you, Andik. The floor is yours. You can also share your screen, please. Andik, can you hear us? I swear I saw you on screen just a second ago. You're muted also. Andy, can you hear us? I'll go first. Do you see my slides? So do you see the what do you see? Do you see my screen? Andy,
Yes.
you're muted. You do. Okay, good. Andy, can you try yours? You see my slides, everyone? Sorry about the technical difficulties. Awesome. Okay, so we'll just change the order around. Let me explain to you what we've been up to in India when the project started and what we've been doing. So as Uda explained, the CLOCC project is operating in 2 countries, and Indonesia and India. We began in India in December of 2022, and we began work in the district of Chengalpettu, which is a mega city, which is close to the mega city of Chennai in the south of India, in the state of Tamil Nadu. And so we followed the methodology as described by Uda. We call it, I mean, it's actually not a new methodology. It's something that we put together looking at all the work that had been carried out for the last 25 years by waste experts globally. So this kind of a mishmash of methodologies we call the CLOCC approach. We are looking at the integrated sustainable waste management framework, underpinned by the waste hierarchy, and also look at this 7-step ISWM planning approach. So you can see on the screen, we start with organizing the process, we collect baseline data, we start doing stakeholder workshops and validating each step of the way, whatever our findings are. And then we start with scenario construction, building a model, always validating through stakeholder workshops, finally developing the waste master plan. So we did that in Chengalpettu starting in December 2022. And what we found is this is from the UN Habitat Waste-Wise Cities tool. This is the flow diagram that we got. Essentially, the district of Chengalpettu is generating about 1,700 tons of waste per day, which comes to roughly about 600 grams per person per day. And what we found is that only 60% of this waste is collected, and 21% of that is managed in controlled facilities. So there is a lot of leakage into the environment through open dumping and open burning. What we also saw is that the rural areas are producing almost the same number of or the same amount of waste as the urban areas, but the mismanagement is much, much higher in that location. And so in the second phase of the project, of the CLOCC project, we decided to focus on rural areas and the rural waste management, and come up with a concept of eco-villages. So essentially, the district of Chengalpettu, which, as I said, lies south of the megacity of Chennai, has around 359 villages. And waste leakage from land to sea and also the environment is quite a key issue. And so this concept of eco-village is addressing these issues through source separation, through decentralized processing, and also behavior change campaigns. So in a nutshell, rural areas we found are lacking structured waste systems. There is a lot of open dumping and burning happening. The photograph that you see on the screen is from a visit last month. What you don't see behind this is an open dump site, which is about 5 acres in size. But this is just a picture of the waste being openly burned. And right next to it was a college where about 500 students were studying and hanging out around this area. So it's quite a it's not an uncommon sight. And so open dumping and burning are widespread, which are of course leading to environmental and health risks. And so we wanted to focus on rural areas because we also want to see alignment between the government policy at national level, bringing it down to subnational, and then looking at district level interventions. And there's also because of the high leakage, there's also a high potential for impact, and to bring communities getting involved into changing their systems. So the vision and mission has been explained to you by Uda. We merge local action with circular economy thinking. So it's basically think global, act local concept. And so the eco-village model is built on, as we mentioned, the integrated sustainable waste management framework. It's a systems approach emphasizing community ownership, strong community ownership and decentralized solutions. And also we look at actions at 3 tiers. Of course, there's local action, that's why the participatory approach, but then also policy alignment with the subnational, the state level interventions, and then finally policies at the national level as well, and underpinned by circular economy thinking. So for us, eco-village essentially means integrated systems, decentralized and community-led, and based on the principles of ISWM and waste hierarchy as well. So we are following the holistic approach where we are looking at basically the physical infrastructure, we're looking at governance systems as well as community engagements for people to work together. So at the core of our thinking is the waste hierarchy, as we said, and we're looking at it from a very multidimensional approach, very similar to what also Nadira explained for the ocean cleanup. So we're looking at the physical systems, the environmental systems, social, governance, financial, and so on and so forth. And finally, we want to integrate this with local planning. As we launch the district level waste master plan in November of 2024, we want to make sure that that's also being implemented by the rural areas. And so we are looking at fit for purpose waste treatment solutions that are suited to the rural context of those specific villages. And I'm going to explain in a minute which 4 villages that we chose to work with. We want to look at decentralized, low cost and scalable solutions because when we did the analysis at the beginning 2 years ago now, exactly 2 years ago, we found that a lot of the interventions don't happen also because of the lack of funding and so on and so forth. So we want to look at technologies that suit the local context. We want to look at solving the biological or the organic waste treatment crisis as well, because almost 60% of the waste is wet. And so we look at composting systems, whether it's spit, wormy, windrow. Uda explained BSF. BSF we've been doing a lot with in Indonesia, which Andik, my colleague, will explain a little later. And then also looking at decentralized small scale biogas solutions as well. On the plastic waste side of things, they do produce a lot of plastic. So the way India is becoming urbanized is not that people are still moving from rural areas to urban areas, but urban systems are coming into rural areas. So a lot of plastics are finding themselves in rural areas and they don't have good collection systems or good treatment systems and so on. So what we saw when we did a site visit last month, we saw that there are a few communities that are actually already installing shredding systems. They're segregating low value plastic and they're actually using it for road construction. So what you see on the screen is a shredder, and on the right hand side is a lady holding the shredded material that they are using in roads. This is the kind of projects that the government of India are promoting at the moment, and we don't see any. Yeah, we haven't tested it, but we're basically going with what the local communities are already looking at. So we'll see, the data that comes out of it in the long term. Also, examples of setting up plastic banks, like you have waste banks in Indonesia, and also rewarding people for recyclables, bringing in recyclables, and so on. These are some of the systems that we will play around with. So the 4 pilot villages that we chose, basically a diversity of context. So one is extremely on the coast, the other one very, very rural, the other one is semi-urban, and but is seeing the mega city coming into it's basically expanding in, and so it's becoming, the prices of the land are going up, but they don't have the waste system to manage all the waste that's being produced and so on. So there are 4 villages, as you can see, marked on the map: Maniwakam, Padur, Perumperukede, Kandigai, and Velaputur. And we're looking at different options in each of the places, as I said, very suited to the local context. So we went and met the officials there, and they were very happy to be part of the system. They have been working with us for the last 2 years already because of the CLOCC project at the district level. But the eco villages are not just about waste, but they're also going to be generating green livelihoods and create a culture of environmental responsibility from the ground up. And we, as Uda had mentioned, it's about long-term change. It's not about the project itself. So it's about working with the communities and then moving on, essentially. So we are involving women's groups, self-help groups. We are also doing a lot of awareness campaigns and school outreach. Uda and I had gone to a school and actually talked to students of the 9th standard, which is about 13, 14-year-olds, and they were very aware of waste management systems. They were aware of what climate change is about, and so on and so forth. So we were very impressed in our interactions with them. And we will also do a lot of skill building and training, as Uda explained, which is part of phase 1 of our project. So essentially, we're looking at quite a few things. It's still a learning model, and there is a lot of scope for scaling up. Chengalpettu and these 4 villages are just a starting point. We're going to be measuring success by looking at how much source separation is going to happen, how much waste is being collected, so the collection coverage, how it's expanding, the number of recovery units that are being set up within the localities or the communities or the villages, and then also the feedback loops and the lessons that we learn from this project. On the screen, you can see a bag with essentially it's like a net bag. So it discourages people to put in wet waste into it. So it's mostly for dry waste collection. This was quite an innovative thing, and we are giving out these bags to all the 4 villages currently. Sorry. As I mentioned, it's just a blueprint for building a more clean, circular, community-driven and community-powered approach in rural India. And we hope to implement this in the next 4 months and then see if we can take it to other villages as well. So that's basically the vision with this. And I'm going to end here because, then I want to give the chance for Andik to present Indonesia. Andik, will you try sharing your screen now? And then we'll move into questions and answers. So you can hold. Please keep typing your questions and answers in the chat box, please. Andik, we can see your slides. Perfect. Yeah. You can go in. We can hear you. Can you please go into screen? Can you go into full screen mode?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. This from Indonesia. But Oda is already telling me about this in Indonesia. So basically, we are developing in these 3 places, since Oda and Aditya already mentioned about the approach in general, and I'm looking for deeper on the system in Indonesia. So basically, we try to change this situation from this where the leakage to the environment is high, 62%, into this one. So when the temperature is already going up, all the waste stream going to very little.
Andik,
This is the target. Yes,
Andik,
hello.
I'm getting feedback that people can't hear you very well. So can you just go into the mic? Like just put the mic here. Try again.
Okay, let me. Station, so
Ah, yeah, better.
the sound is not that good.
This is
Yeah,
better.
so this is the this is the performance of the what that we are trying to planning, and then when we go, it's also how the effect of the planning to the waste leakage and also to the methane generation in each scenario. And then we also try to see how much capacity of villages, the regions or the cities to afford the scenario that we are in each this is a subsystem, this physical waste subsystem. And we also try to create sourcing from which source of the fund that can be coming from. Sorry, my presentation is in Bahasa. You can see that in this three scenario, we have its differentiation from its sources. And this is the sourcing that we identify as a context. And to to create a sense of urgency and priorities for the decision maker in the local government, we also try to compare the benefit of the waste system, which can be for each scenario. As mentioned by Oda, that from our four master plan, it will absorb around 6,800 jobs for the waste management system. And then we try to also realizing the infrastructure provision ecosystem, especially in Indonesia, between regency government, the village government, and also the brand owners and the area management or township management. So this is the going to develop, and then what we've learned from the Indonesian CLOCC implementation, which is happening in our area, which will go into more than 70% sleep, and in Indonesia is very few landfill that go into the standard sanitary landfill, and also the physical capacity is very limited. Therefore, it also to the law enforcement and also vehicle change because the system itself is not existent. Then demand for the waste services is very low, and even the waste fee is something unpopular in the village popular people. For to change the and also the challenges is that the institution and its capacity is very weak, less coordinated, and then to connect it each party is something that we've worked on in daily basis, implementing this CLOCC. And for something good that's usually initiated by public or some active community leader, sometimes it's going to sporadically, and we need to sometimes it's also need to be supported to flourish and replicated in several areas. But we also have some strong support from the national and local government. In here, in Banyuwangi experience, that the past 10 years, the social capital is going to benefiting for activities, especially because the some areas, especially in Banyuwangi, tourism sectors is going to become a major economic drivers. And for the best practices, we need to replicate it with the formal policies. The master plan is something that will go with the master plan is something that we need to mapping and also become the pathway to realizing the proper waste management system in the regency 20 or 30, 23 years. Some projects which also going like Banyuwangi Hijau, which is by international companies, also something that we can learn from different operation model. And sometimes the waste crisis is also basically discussed with basically awareness and also become the public attention to the waste management itself. And the informal waste buyers and collectors are the real expert and willing to take the recyclables from the TPS3R. TPS3R is like the MRF in the village or the district level, and they are very effective to change the behavior. So I think that's my presentation. Thank you for.
Thank you, Andik. Thank you so much, Andik. Yeah, you can mute yourself. Sorry, I know you are in a mission right now, and you're traveling and it's quite noisy. We did have challenges hearing you, but I'm used to having discussions with you, so I kind of got it. If people have questions, we will put them through Andik, and we can always come back to it. Has anybody typed anything? I don't see that yet. But if you don't, because I do have prepared questions as well for Nadira, Andik, and Uda, because I want to know from Nadira, I want to begin with you. All the exciting work that you're doing at the ocean cleanup. So, and you've been, operating for quite a few years. Can you give us a few key lessons that you've learned from your operations, and how have you adjusted and improved your strategies and also your, interventions for tackling ocean pollution through the years?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, yeah, I think what we have learned so far, so we started with technology perspective. As you saw in my slides, we've deployed technology, but then the more we learn, especially for the river projects, the more we understand that it requires more than technology. So first of all, it demands a strong understanding on the local system, the local solid waste management system, the local stakeholders, local permits even, to operate such technology, and then also strong collaborations with various stakeholders. So we cannot just come and introduce our solutions. We need to work together to create the impact. So that's the first one. And the second one, as a waste manager, I think I also see the success of our interceptors are directly tied to the local waste management system. Because if there is no local waste management system, sometimes we're just moving problems from rivers to land and maybe create even more environmental risks. So really understanding the local waste management solutions, and even better if we can contribute to the knowledge and also to the creation of solutions, that's even better. So yeah, and then of course with all of our operations, we gather data, and then different rivers also have different challenges, and then based on the data, then we can in the future learn and create more fitting solutions. So that's basically the lessons learned so far.
Thanks, Nadira. Yeah, it's absolutely crucial to understand the system and the landscape before you start, promoting any one solution and so on. We have exactly the same lesson from the CLOCC. Andik, there's somebody has typed something to you. In case we won't hear you, you can also type the answer back in the chat. But you can hear me, right? Can you hear me well? So it says, for a country that still relies on it. So for a country that still relies on informal sector, has it become a priority to make the waste management more formalized through the expansion of services from the government or capacity building to the government, or is it inevitable to exclude the participation of the informal sector? If you can go first, then if anybody else wants to answer as well.
Sorry, it's not quite. Basically, for the waste management, for the formalization of the system is one thing that we are going from the bottom. I mean, from the very bottom, which is coming from the villages, and also we try to integrate it, all actors in same direction. It's quite difficult, but we see that this is the best way to to make the basic waste management services can be affordable and without making a conflict in the field, because sometimes especially in each actors is the waste management become their main source of income. So yeah, basically for me is informal sectors is something that very beneficial for developing waste management system from the bottom.
Thanks a lot, Andik. Yes, thank you for your insights on that. I want to move to Uda. We've been working on the CLOCC for quite a number of years now. And can you explain once again, I mean, we talked a lot about the participatory planning approach. How do we, or the CLOCC project or the CLOCC project effectively utilize this participatory approach and involve local communities in designing and implementing these solutions? And can you also at the same time give some good examples of community-driven actions which have successfully tackled organic waste management problems as well as plastic pollution? That, you know, that's what the project was focused on before. How are we doing this simultaneously as well?
Thank you, Aditi. So yeah, as I briefly mentioned in the participation, and that also Andik said, that we really work on all the levels and also from the bottom up, and we work very closely with a broad group of stakeholders, both on the government level, but also from the community level, both from the authorities, but also in the local community groups. So we try to always use structures that are already established in the country and in the area and community, that already has a presence and have some authority. And we and our partners, we train them into promoting sustainable and efficient waste management, collection, source separation, and so on, and working closely with the households to, for example, getting the waste fee and so on, and getting all the households to participate in the waste management systems. And one example is in Indonesia, we have the project in Banyuwangi, and there we established a local organization, RPW, which are already a lot of the staff working there are locals, and they know the context and the local culture very, very well, and they go into the villages and work with the village groups and community groups and the local MRF several times a week. And yeah, this way we can create long-term and sustainable development and ownership. And for your next question was related to the organics and the plastics. So yeah, as I said, our main focus is to reduce marine plastic pollution and microplastics, and we're also part of the Norwegian government's development program to reduce plastics. But to do this, we have to look into all fractions, and organics is, as Nadira also mentioned from her presentation, it's such a big challenge in many of the countries, and we quickly saw in our first projects in Indonesia and Banyuwangi that the amounts of organics are overwhelming the systems, and they're also reducing the quality of their recyclables and the plastics. So we quickly started with our local partners, ISWA and RPW, to try to manage the organic as close as possible to the source through composting and also black soldier fly larvae and that will ultimately also increase the plastics that can be recycled and reduce the organic waste going to landfills and dump sites, which are also very important in order to reduce the methane emissions.
Thanks a lot, Uda, and also bringing that climate angle to it. Absolutely, we started off thinking, okay, let's solve the plastic crisis, but very quickly realized that organics make up a major part of the waste that's coming in, and so we need to tackle that as well to have the quality. Thanks a lot for your answer. And Nadira, do you see the typed question in the chat? She did answer this at the second slide, I think, but if you can go ahead and answer again, in places where there are no waste management practices, what are you doing with the waste that's being extracted from the rivers? And I would also like you to talk a little bit about the collaborations that you've been having with governments and other partners, because you can't, just like the CLOCC project too, we can't go into somebody else's country, system, region, regency, district without getting that, you know, buy-in from all the governments and so on. So can you share some good collaborations that you've been having with the private sector or the government as well, and that's ensuring. And so I guess this will also answer the question that's on the chat. How do you enhance the sustainability of your cleanup efforts?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And this is also an excellent question. So for a place that there's no waste management practice, we're always first exactly what you mentioned, so looking for collaboration. So maybe we don't know if there's a solution or not. So then first we're looking for local stakeholders who already know local solutions or even implement it. And then we're also doing feasibility studies if we want to introduce something new. So just a quick example in Cisadane. So the local landfill there is it's a disposal site basically. So we're trying to divert the waste as much as possible from there and to recycle as much as possible. And then the first step is to do the feasibility study first, technical feasibility and also financial feasibility, if it's even feasible to introduce sorting, for example. So right now we are already doing that step by step because it's not a quick fix, but right now we are trying to sort the waste, and then the recyclables part are being recycled, and then the organics we're still looking for like potential off takers, and it goes the same to our project that having a similar challenge. So we are also working together with consultants, doing feasibility studies, and work with local stakeholders to improve it. Yeah.
Thanks, thanks, Nazir.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry. And regarding your statement on the collaboration, so we're also not only working with consultants and also with local communities, but we're also working with government, because sometimes the government also needs a bit of push so they can also contribute. For example, in Cisadane, the government also help us to improve the waste bank, paying for the basic salaries of our operators and also providing with some machineries. So that's also what collaboration can bring.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we see this very important, because without, as Uda mentioned, the local partners, we cannot really do the implementation either. And so in the interest of time, I'm very conscious there are only a few minutes left. Andek, I want to ask you the last question, because you're also I think the time difference is the longest for you. Based on your experiences, and you have to also please highlight the success that has come out of the CLOCC in terms of having new regulation that's come out and so on. How has collaboration across government, the private sector, civil society, and everything strengthened local waste management practices? So please do tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, we believe that the regulation is how to tighten up and bring together what we already planned and do in a very long time period. And then this also not enough. We need to also go together to make the regulation and the planning going as planned, because sometimes regulation without law enforcement is also not will not create some impact. So therefore, at least with this regulation, we can teach every stakeholders and every agency that we need to put all of our effort and resources based on this plan, and we have same basic understanding and same rules that we need to follow and create impacts in the long term. That's what I've learned from the implementation.
Thanks a lot, Andik. There's a question that's on the chat, but we don't have time to answer it. It's about, are there any plans to bioremediate plastics that cannot be recycled? I presented one solution that some of our villages are applying, but those are not the only solutions, and it's not that CLOCC is promoting one or the other. We can answer you after the meeting, but I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. And as I said, this webinar has been part of like the Road to COP series, We are trying to address all the linkages, interlinkages between waste and resource management and climate change and so on and so forth. So you can join our events by joining our mailing list, also on the website and everything, and you can get in touch with our membership manager, Ms. Ray Chui, and you can become part of ISWA's network, and also join our projects. So I did want to have 1 minute each for your last comments, but I don't think we have the time to do that, except maybe 5 words if you want to say anything, the speakers. Otherwise, I would like to thank you very much for the time and the effort and for taking the time out from your busy schedules. Any last questions? Nadira, Uda, Andik? Or any last words?
No.
No? Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for being here with us. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can go to our website, plus reach our project websites as well. So thank you, and see you at the next virtual event or the next in-person event. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.